I'm no stranger when it comes to the record of Agarest War games. I played Agarest War 1 and Agarest War 0 on the Xbox 360, and I enjoyed them. Even though on the technical side of things the games were pretty bad, and on the gameplay side of it, it was a bit repetitive. And not to mention the games were hella hard at certain points. But I really liked the strategy aspect to them, and the story I found really intriguing. Seeing the story told in multiple generations, it was an excellent way on how to present a story, and it always left me wanting to see more. So after Agarest War 1 and 0, a true sequel, if you will, comes in the form of Record of Agarest War 2, and it was released in 2012 in the States on PS3. And I was very hyped to play it. The battle system was completely overhauled, the HD sprites looked awesome, and the artwork was even better. Now I played Agarest War 2 on the PS3 almost to a point of finishing it, but was held back because, well, I'll get into that reason later on in this review. So a couple of years after its release on the PS3, it's now on the PC, running a lot more smoothly, and the graphics are a bit more detailed. So now with its release on the PC, let's see how Agarest War 2 stacks up today. So people, it's your JRPG enthusiast Shadow Elite, and I'm going to do my damnedest to review Record of Agarest War 2. Agarest War 2 will span you 3 generations, which will put you in the shoes of 3 different main characters. First, you will be in control of West, and after you complete a portion of the story, you will be in control of West's son, and so on. This particular aspect of Agarest War has always been an intriguing part of the story for me, because after you completed that portion of the game, you will have to choose between one of 3 female protagonists to partner up with, and their son will be the next character for the next part of the game. Not only that, but their stats and what weapon type the son uses will be determined from the 2 parents, so there might be a bit of thought thrown in to get the ideal stats and weapon type you prefer for the next main character to have. Or you're probably like me and most people and none of that stuff really matters, and you'll just choose based off of which female you like best. Victoria, Yumel, along with Marana are my choices. So much for strategy and planning on my part, but it's there if you want to take advantage of it. Story-wise, it's a rather standard affair. You've got your demons appearing, they're destroying towns, they're taking over the land, and guess whose job it is to stop them. Along with that, you have some discrimination, alienation, and dealing with one's destiny. I think fortunately enough, the characters kind of make up for the rather okay setup for the story. West decided for his bloodline to become the next heir to step up and fight the demons, and as a result, they will all die off young along with the other girls he has to choose in order to become seals to stop the demons from being released. Dying off young is never a good thing, and Chivalrous, the next main character in the game, shows off how much he hates the idea and pretty much is an asshole to everyone he comes into contact with. You kind of feel bad for the guy because of this and feel for his inner struggle to come to terms with his fate. Still, there's no reason to say to a lady that you're going to tie them up and rape them. Seriously, that's just a small sample of how vulgar he can be. The characters are a rather lively bunch, and thanks to a good localization, the conversations flow nicely and each character's personality stands out just enough to keep them from being too typical. The game is very much a visual novel on how the story is shown, so you'll be seeing the same characters talking over and over and over again. Which, if you like VNs, you won't mind it too much, but having more cutscenes in the game wouldn't hurt at all. Now, seeing as it is a visual novel setup, you have artwork and some moving animation, and let me tell you, the artwork in this game is awesome. The artist really has a nice style and does what he does rather well. Seriously, the artwork of this game is probably what has some people interested. The in-game battle sprites are really nicely done, and how everyone attacks and moves in battle is a sight to behold, especially during long attacks and finish strikes. You kind of see a little close-up for each of the characters, and it all looks amazing. A big plus for me, as I still like sprites in my games and wish they weren't such a rarity on some platforms. The artwork and in-game sprites aside, the game's field map looks like something the PS2 could easily pull off. The field map is the very definitions of bland and boring, with no detail whatsoever. And the sad part about this is the game was once on the PS3 and there was slowdown at times and long loading screens. Hell, starting the game it had a long loading screen and it still ran bad, below even 30 frames per second to a constant 15 to 20 frames on average. However, that was all on the PS3. Having the game move to the PC was a great thing, as everything loads fast and is running at a glorious 1080p 60 frames per second. And seeing this kind of battle system with the sprites running at 60 frames per second, well, it's awesome. The soundtrack is good, battle themes are nice and memorable, but that might only be because most of the time you play this game, you'll be in battle a lot. And I mean a lot. So you'll be hearing the same battle theme playing over and over again, and to be honest, it's not really that bad. As for the voice acting, the game is left in its original Japanese audio and has no English dub, so to be honest, I really can't say the voice acting is good or not because of that. But I would have preferred a dub for this game, as I think it could have helped better connect me with the characters. Now, there's a lot to Record of Agarest Wars 2 gameplay and battle system that can be very overwhelming and kind of intimidating for new players, and people new to strategy JRPGs, and the in-game tutorials really don't do a damn thing to help. But if you can handle what the game throws at you, there's a deep combat system here with a lot of customization to sink your teeth into. The battle system has you on a grid field, placing your party on one end of the field and your opponents on the other side. You can attack by yourself, or you can gang up on one enemy. That's usually the way to go about battles here, launching attack after attack and using AP points of all the characters in the attack. When you will break the enemy's guard, you can really start piling on the damage. There's an AP meter, and once that fills to a certain point, you can unleash combos. The combos here look spectacular, especially the high level ones you start to get at the end of the game. It's personally where most of my enjoyment comes from. The sprites and action during these combos look good, and seeing them over and over again doesn't get boring. Sometimes. Eventually you'll start to realize towards the end of the game what combos work best for your setup, and you'll be spamming the same combos over and over again. Now, you can't just keep using attack after attack and combo after combo with the same characters because you have a weight meter, and if that fills, your character will enter an overweight status, putting them out of battle for a lot of turns. So it's important to keep switching up your attacks between party members. Now, you have 4 different attack types: burst, range, down, and stun. Enemies are susceptible to one or more of these attack types, allowing you to break their guard more easily. Some attacks and combos will switch up to different attack types, giving you more SP. And man, oh man, is SP an ever important part to this game's strategy. Having a lot of SP is never a bad thing, as it helps with turn order and gives your characters access to the ever important X skills. These X skills are so crucial in surviving in this game. They can give your party buffs like increasing attack or defense, negating enemy counterattacks, or increasing evasion and accuracy. Accuracy is a huge one because your attacks will miss if your hit stat is not high enough. Activating an X skill to make up for that is huge. Now, the battle system as a whole is one of the better battle systems I've played in the JRPG. There's a lot of deep thought that goes into how you set up your characters. Setting skills and learning new skills, there's a good amount of trial and error here, but it's on the good side. When learning new skills, your characters can only choose from one set of books. When they learn one book from that particular set, they can no longer learn other books from that set. So it's important to know how your characters will work in battle and which role each of them will play in combat. Some of it is obvious with physical attackers and magical attackers. However, it starts to get complicated when you need SP builders, as I call them. Certain attacks that switch up to different attack types, giving you more SP. Remember when I said SP is important? That's why you could probably use an SP builder, along with the character that you like to activate a certain X skill off early. You may want 3 people to attack an enemy to build SP, and then when it comes to the time for the 4th character to attack, you have enough SP to activate the X skill. Now, setting skills is a little bit crazy. Each skill has a certain number rank, and when you equip that skill, the rank goes up, allowing for high level skills and combination skills to become available. Deciding which skills to set that break guard easily, switch to a different attack type, what element the attack has, is again another important part. You start to realize that the game isn't a walk in the park, and even on normal difficulty, it can be unrelentless and punishing. Keeping all the things I mentioned in the battle system in mind and setting skills, it all becomes half the fun. However, it can be a little bit frustrating when some bosses will knock you flat on your ass. Outside of battle, you'll pretty much be running from point A to point B to progress the story. There's only one hub town you'll be visiting, and of course, it comes with your item shop to get new items and blacksmith to make new weapons, accessories, and increase weapon and armor stats. You'll be spending a lot of time at the blacksmith to make new weapons, convert them into items to make even more powerful weapons. Of course, it all comes at a price. There's a lot of things to keep track of: EXP, G, SP, AP, TP, PP, and LP. It's all integrated into the game's scope. I can't explain it, but sometimes it feels kinda needless and useless. LP is your limit points and controls what events will appear next to progress the story, and it pretty much more or less controls how you get the true end of the game. And oh my god, getting the true end is one of the most complicated, convoluted, frustrating, and time-consuming thing ever. Following a guide doesn't even guarantee that you'll get the true ending because there's such a big window of opportunity to fuck something up in the beginning. I shit you not, people, I followed a guide to get the true ending when I played it on the PS3, and I followed that guide from beginning to end. And when I got to the last sets of events towards the end of the game, and I realized that just one event was missing for me to trigger, locking me out of the true ending for good, essentially wasting more than 70 hours doing freaking side quests that are just kill this and kill that, gather this and gather that, fight with certain party members a bajillion times. It was infuriating when I realized I couldn't get the true ending. No game should be this complicated to get the true ending. I don't know what the hell the developers were thinking when they made this. How is anybody supposed to get the true ending by themselves without a guide? What were they expecting, people to just play the game over and over and over again? No, that's just retarded. Okay, I'm kind of going on a rant there, but I think you get my point. Agarest War 2 is the type of JRPG that's going to demand a lot of your time. And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of for a little payoff. Getting the true end is your own choice, but if you're going to stick around and play the game for at the very least of 60 hours, you're probably going to want to see the entirety of the story for the first time around. The bang for your buck factor is here, but most of your time will be spent grinding and farming for materials. Doing a whole lot of grinding and farming. Trust me, if you don't want to get curb stomped by the bosses later on, you're going to need some upgraded equipment. Knowing how to properly play the game does go up far, but not far enough. At the end of the day, your stats will determine your success in Agarest 2. There are no dungeons to explore. You have these symbol maps, and they have a point on each place in the map, and you go there and you fight a battle, and you go from point after point after point fighting battles. It gets to be long and tedious after a while. There's nothing to do outside of battles except for this god-awful minigame. The worst minigame I have ever played in my life. It freaking sucks. It just, oh my god, it blows my mind away how bad this thing is. You have to freaking use the analog stick and just go up and down, left and right, circle it around. It's so annoying, and every little thing you do messes up, and it's completely random, okay, how you can mess some things up and how much the meter goes up, whatever. You have to play the game for yourself in order to experience it. It is horrible, and you kind of need it if you want to get the true ending. It's not 100% needed to play the minigame to get the true ending, but it does make it a hell of a lot easier. I think the Agarest games kind of flirt with the line that's between what's tolerable and what's outright tedious, to a point where it might just become too much for the average player or anybody new to JRPGs to handle. There are difficulty settings, and I played the game on normal, so I don't know how easy the game becomes on easy, or how stupid hard the game is on hard. On normal, there are difficulty spikes that appear out of thin air. I can only imagine how the spikes are on hard. Recommending Agarest War 2 is kinda tough for me to do. I do think there's a very good strategy game here with enough planning and thought behind it, but behind that is something that borderlines on convoluted and unnecessary, with again a lot of grinding and farming. You might think this grinding and farming might be standard in a hardcore JRPG, or any JRPG for that matter, but here it just feels like it's a time waster and it's almost tedious. It's a very long game, lasting anywhere from 60 to 80 hours. I believe probably my playtime on the PS3 was anywhere from 80 hours to 100 hours. I honestly think that there's a good chance that if you buy Agarest War 2, it's going to be one of those games that you play for a little bit and then it's forever on your backlog of games to complete. But with all that said, I did enjoy my time with Agarest War 2. I played it almost to a point of completion on the PS3, and playing it on the PC, it's a lot better. The long load times are gone and the game runs at 60 frames per second. And playing on PC, between all the grinding, it's a lot easier to multitask if you have a good computer. The battle system is the game's high point. With a lot of characters to choose from, you have a lot of room to pick whatever favorite you want to use. The story will get you to the end to see how it all comes to a close, but everything else outside of the battle system and the story can kinda get on the unbearable side of things. Hell, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I downloaded some of the DLC to help alleviate some of the grinding. So my final verdict on Agarest War 2, or Agarest Generations of War 2 as it's known in some places, is an 8 out of 10. And I recommend that you buy it on PC than on the PS3. Trust me, when I popped the PS3 version in, I think to myself, how did I ever put up with these load times? If you can get it, buy it on sale, but I can't stress enough, it's a long game and it's kind of a tough game and it has a good chance of being on your gaming backlog. Well, that's it for this review of Record of Agarest War 2. Hit that like button if you like what you saw, comment if you have some thoughts on Record of Agarest War 2, and subscribe if you are new to the channel. I will see you guys later.